The gentle hum of sewing machines echoed through the brightly lit workshop. Peace sat at her station, a satisfied smile playing on her lips as her fingers deftly stitched a new design for the upcoming fashion competition. The competition could change everything for her family's business. She had dreamed of this competition every day from the first time she heard about it. Nothing would sway her attention or alter her mood. Her focus has remained sharp and her excitement has stayed high. She raised a piece of fabric she was working on, looked at it and smiled. Then turned it over, placed another piece on one side to fit the cutting, and continued to sew. Across the room, Elena watched her sister with dark, smoldering eyes. Every compliment, every glance of admiration thrown pieces way was like a needle stabbing her heart. Though she too was a fashion designer, her talents paled in comparison. It was always piece this, piece that. Helena clenched her fist, the fabric crumpling in her grasp. You two were born for this, their parents had said, but watching them both in action proved otherwise. Not that Peace cared who was better, yet the idea that others admired her work more made Helena boil. Your stitches are too tight, Helena, Peace said softly, without turning around. Helena squashed the bits of fabric in her hand the more, with her lips curled into a sneer. I don't need your advice, Peace, she snapped. Not everyone wants to copy your perfect little designs. What was that for? Peace thought as she turned, frowning slightly. I'm just trying to help. We're sisters, Helena. We're in this together. Always have been. Always will be. Together? Helena muttered inaudibly under her breath, her mind buzzing with rage. She was tired of being overshadowed, tired of acting like they were in this together, tired of playing second fiddle in the family business, tired of having Peace walk around with the air of skill and respect around her. She wanted to be the one in the limelight, not Peace. The upcoming competition could just be what I'm looking for, she mouthed. But what would she do about her perfect sister? Elena conceived a plan, a dangerous plan that would once and for all get Peace out of her way. That evening, Elena met with Andrew, Peace's fiance, in a dimly lit corner of a downtown bar. She purposely went to the bar that night to see Andrew. This was where he spent Friday evening. If only I could get him on my side, Elena thought. As expected, Andrew was in his usual spot, a couch in the corner where the light was always dimly lit. Elena walked over to him. Hey, Andrew, she said and sat beside him. The air between them was thick with tension and unspoken promises. Elena had mentioned he had something that would be of great benefit to him. Maybe he could get it out of her this evening. Andrew waved over one of the bartenders and ordered a drink for Elena. Elena took a sip of her drink and leaned closer to Andrew. She's holding you back, Elena whispered, leaning in even closer. You will never be more than Peace's shadow if you stay with her. Is that it? My sister burns men, and she does not care that much about your engagement. Andrew's fingers tightened around his glass. He had always been drawn to Peace's beauty and her kind disposition, but lately something darker festered in his heart. The thought of living off her fortune had become more appealing than love. He had nursed the thought, and it was beginning to cripple him. Whenever he was alone, he mulled over how he would achieve this desire. First, he considered indirect approaches. Peace wouldn't be hurt, and she wouldn't see him as the enemy. But with what Elena had told him, he might as well take whatever card was on the table as long as he got what he wanted. You're right, he said, his voice low. What do you suggest I do? I have a plan. We work on this together. Win-win, I do say, Elena answered. What's the plan? Elena's smile was cold. We will make it look like an accident. A car crash. You'll be free of her, and we will take everything. The business, the fortune, everything. Elena dragged the last words. Andrew hesitated, but Elena's hand on his knee, gently caressing him, pushed away the last of his doubts. Together, she whispered, with her lips close to his ear. Together, Andrew agreed. Life continued with its usual rhythm. 1 week later, Peace was driving home from work as the rain ebbed. Her car swerved wildly on the rain-slicked road, tearing into the guardrail before flipping over. The wall spun violently before everything went black. When Peace woke up, her body was bruised and broken, but she was alive. The sound of beeping machines filled her ears, and a gentle hand rested on hers. She looked up into the face of a young man, his eyes warm and filled with concern. Her head hurt as she tried to remember who the young man was. "Do I know you?" she asked in her head, willing him to hear the voice too. Peace tried to pull herself up. "You are awake," he said, his voice soothing. The young man supported her and raised a pillow for Peace to rest on. "I'm Obinna. I was driving behind you when I saw your car go off the road. You're lucky to be alive." Peace tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Obinna handed her a glass of water. "Thanks," she said as she sipped the water. The memories of the crash came flooding back. The brakes had failed. The steering was off. Then the crash. And just before the sounds around her went off and everything went black, there was a young man holding her hand, asking her to hang in there. Pete looked at Obinna and nodded. "Thanks for what you did back there. I'm alive because of you." She placed a glass of water on the table beside her bed. Her mind continued to roam. There had been no mechanical issues with her car before. How did the brakes suddenly fail and the steering off? Something was wrong, and she would find out who had played this card. Weeks passed as Peace recovered, but the more she pieced together, the more the truth gnawed at her heart. Elena had been distant, almost too eager for Peace to rest. She had even offered to cover designs that people who worked under Peace did. Why would Elena help me? She usually pulled me out of bed when I was ill to do my chores, Pete pondered. And Andrew? He had barely visited her. He was avoiding her and she cannot remember having any issues or fights with him. When she raised the issue with her parents, they both looked at each other and told her to focus on recovery. But Pete could not. Her mind kept wandering. He and Andrew were engaged to be married in 6 months. "Am I overthinking this?" she asked Obinna. He was the only one who was always there during this period. They did not know each other before he brought her to the hospital from the crash, but he had visited every day without fail. He had become her confidant, her gist partner, her friend. "Overthinking what?" Obinna asked softly. "My fiance and my sister." "Maybe not, but you should listen to your parents, you know. Get well first, then other things can follow." One evening, Andrea and Elena had gone to the hospital together to see Pete. They claimed to have been too busy covering up the lapses, starting early and closing too late. But the air in the room said otherwise. There was a feeling of some quiet pleasure in their eyes, mixed with a tinge of rage at an unfulfilled desire. Obinna listened, quietly observing everything. "I know something's wrong," Peace said after Elena and Andrew left the room, her voice shaking. "I can feel it. They're hiding something." Obinna frowned. "You need to confront them," he said, "and you have to be ready with the right evidence. Count on me if you need help." The confrontation came on a stormy night. Pete stood in the living room of her family's home staring at Elena and Andrew, her heart pounding in her chest. Her parents were unsure what the quarrel was about. However, they had decided to stay out of it and let the sisters settle their issue between them. They only watched. Andrew was in the living room with Helena when they came in. He said he was waiting for peace as he did not see her at work. This had become a regular occurrence, and they also had their doubts. so they simply watched. I know what you did, what you are doing, all of them, he said quietly, her voice steady despite the chaos in her mind. Elena's eyes widened, but she quickly masked her surprise with a laugh. Your delusional peace? The accident must have affected your mind, my sister. Am I? Pete asked. Her hands shook with fury. Then explain this to me, she continued, placing a stack of design printouts on the table and playing a simulation and mini video from a flash drive on a computer. The designs bore Elena's details. Everyone stared. I found these files on your computer, Elena. These are designs that you submitted to G&G Fashion, right? The designs are my designs, and you stole them and passed them as your own. Their parents gasped, and Elena fumed. Andrew became uncomfortable, but masked his discomfort. As long as the heat stays on Elena, I'll be fine. After all I want is to get my hands on the family's wealth. He did not want to lose the chance to switch back to peace, the same reason he had refused Elena telling their parents about them. You tried to kill me for this? Peace yelled. Then, as if she had heard Andrew's thoughts, Peace turned to Andrew, tears welling up in her eyes. And you? You were in on it. You never loved me. It was all about the money, wasn't it? Andrew opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Elena's cold gaze shifted to him, and her lips curled. You both suit each other, Peace continued. Place some photos on the table as well. I asked someone to follow you. These are the photos. Are they made up? That's usually your response, right? Andrew felt weak to his bones. The photos are edited. I can prove it, Elena said. Really? Peace shot back. Please prove this too. She switched windows on the computer and a video of Andrew and Elena calling came to view. We do this right, Elena. Peace must never find out, Andrew said. I told you it is all set. She will never know what hit her. And to the world, it will just be another unfortunate accident, Elena responded. This is why I love you so much, Andrew said, kissing Elena. I know I'm the right person for you. I don't know what you saw in my sister that made you go to her. I'm with you now. Isn't that what matters? Yeah, I love you, baby, Elena said, kissing Andrew back. Mrs. Odnakachi paused the video. I have seen enough, she yelled, and gave Elena a hard slap across the face. Peace is your sister. Fine, Elena sneered at Peace. I did steal your designs, but you were always the favorite, Peace. You had everything handed to you on a silver platter. No, golden platter. While I had to fight for every scrap of attention. And Andrew? Well, he's smarter than you think. He knows what he wants, and it sure isn't your pretty face. I am more woman than you are, and he has chosen me, not you. Peace's heart shattered, but her resolve only hardened. You'll regret this, she said softly. You don't know who you've crossed. And she was right. Elena had only known her beautiful, loving, and kind sister. Words got out about the heiresses fighting over a man and inheritance, and the press dug up the evidence against Elena and Andrew. Elena's entry to the fashion competition was cancelled, and Base Fashion was disqualified from the bid. The loss that followed shook the family business, and amid this chaos, Mr. Dinakachi was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He had 6 months left. To make the most of what was left, he divided his properties equally among the sisters and sold Base Fashion. A few months later, the tables turned in the most dramatic way. Obinna, the quiet man who had saved Peace, had become more than a friend. He was in love with Peace, and Peace loved him just as much. Mr. Dinakachi approved of their relationship, but wanted them to be married in 2 months. He wanted to be the one to give his daughter's hands to their husbands. It was in this process that Obinna had revealed himself as the sole heir of G&G Fashion, the very company Elena had tried to cheat her way into. He had kept his identity hidden. He loved being able to relate with people without the strings. The wedding came. Peace married Obinna and Elena Andrew. After the wedding, Elena found out that Andrew had transferred all her money to his account overseas and planned to divorce her at the earliest time possible. The divorce documents were ready, just waiting to be signed. She saw it in a drawer in his study. Peace, on the other hand, received a gift she did not expect. As if marrying into the family of the biggest fashion mogul was not enough, all the papers to Base Fashion were returned to her with all documentation showing her as the owner. But how? She asked. When I heard Base Fashion was in the market, I knew I had to buy it, Obinna said. But the man who bought my dad's company was from out of town. Yes, it was Aaron. I had to borrow his name. Peace could not believe her luck. Aaron is Obinna's chauffeur, the same man he had introduced as his uncle he lived with when they first started dating. She hugged her husband tightly. Come, Peace, I want to show you something, Obinna's mother called, breaking the sweet moments. Peace turned and started towards his mother, and Obinna followed. Don't follow her, his mother called out. Ladies only time. Okay, mother, don't forget she's my wife. And she is my daughter-in-law, the mother retorted. Laughter echoed in the mansion.